At this time, I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Nashville Town Council to order. Would you please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us pray. Again, we invite you into our meeting tonight to lead and guide us in all the decisions that we make, that it will benefit all the citizens of Nashville. Amen. Amen. The first item on our agenda is our public comments. So you have 3 minutes, and Coy, you're first on our agenda to speak.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I didn't have an action item tonight, but I didn't want you to go without hearing from me, so thought I'd sign
Yeah,
it.
we hear you.
I just wanted to let everybody know where we're at with the Part F application. We've been working with AECom on getting all the background information together, getting the vision boards together for the public engagement session. We've scheduled that for February 28th, which is next Tuesday, here in Council Chambers from 3 to 7. So that'll be very similar to public engagement we've had for other plans, where we'll have the boards up, we'll have stickers, you come in, pick your preferences. There'll be one if you have any additional comments for us. So it will not take long at all, anytime between 3 and 7. We'll use that information to continue writing the site-specific plan for Glover Park and our application for Part F.
And what was the date of that?
February 28th.
And you'll put that on our webpage, won't you? For
Yes, ma'am.
everybody, so people will come out.
Yes, ma'am.
That'd be great.
Thank you.
Thanks. The next person, Anna Joyner.
My name is Anna Joyner with Market Leader Realty, and I'm sorry the way I'm dressed. I didn't know I'd be speaking tonight.
And just and just tell us your address.
806 South Creek Drive in Nashville. I'm representing Joe and Faye Hyde. They have a house at 207 East Lucille Street. They have signed listing paperwork. We're going to be putting their house on the market. But their driveway has been there where it's been forever. And it happens to be on town property where an abandoned well or a well that is no longer in use is there, and their driveway goes right beside it. So we wanted to come tonight to get an easement on the property so they wouldn't have to do another driveway because their property lines are so close to the house. And so we just asked to put that on the agenda tonight because that driveway's been there for, I don't know, since the house was built. And we used to use it when I took my babies to Faye to keep when they were little, and they've used it forever and a day. So we just wanted an easement for the new owners of the house to be able to get into their carport. So that's why I wanted to come and speak and ask y'all to please grant the easement.
Thank you, Anna.
Mm-hmm.
Randy, do we have that plot that she's speaking about where you can pull it up?
Yeah.
Would you
Yeah.
pull it up, please? Because even before I even got on the council, I noted their neighbors that live next to him. So his yard is about the same, identical to what theirs is on both sides of the pump house. And I've often wondered, is this right? But I wasn't on the council, it didn't bother that much. But where exactly does he want what property does he need without going into the pump house? And is that pump house still working?
That's the one we're thinking about refurbishing.
Is it? Yeah, it is. Lee, is that well still working? Are we gonna put that back online?
Yes.
Lee, if you could.
So the well in question is well number 2 on Lucille Street,
Okay.
and well number 2 is out of service for proposed maintenance, the same as well number 4 is.
Okay.
So, I think 2 weeks ago, we postponed discussion for well 4, so, you know, after well 4, we would propose that well 2 be rehabbed. So that where that conversation ultimately lands, you know, we don't know yet, but they are in similar states. They were taken out of service approximately at the same time due to failed equipment.
But there are plans to put it
Our
back.
plans to put it back online.
Not immediate plans.
I would say the plans are not immediate, but of course our goal is to produce as much water
As we can.
through our wells.
I can't get it to zoom in any closer than that, but I think we have a picture in the packet also.
You did.
When we get to that request.
Yeah, it is mighty close in there. Okay, we'll get to it when we get down there.
The first item on our agenda for tonight is old business, and it's the Barn Street Scape Project. Randy, you're going to talk with us about that.
Sure. So, the town was awarded a $675,000 rural transformation grant for the Barn Street Streetscape Project from the Department of Commerce through the Rural Economic Development Division. And we had requested 940. And we knew at the time that project cost estimate when we applied was $1,186,000 and some small change. With the award, our local match or our share of that project is greater because the award is less. And, you know, we had a grant writer write that application for us, and that cost us $13,500. So what we have for our cost with a $1.186 million project is $524,977. So the decision the council needs to make this evening, or at some point, hopefully this evening, whether to accept the rural transformation grant or not, and then determine how we're gonna cover the $524,000 difference. So, this particular project and these dollar amounts have been run past the Downtown Nashville Strong Advisory Board, and the advisory board is recommending that $43,700 of the MSD's $175,000 fund balance be applied to the project. So that brings down the $524,000 to $481,000. The advisory board also recommends that if the council is going to borrow money for the $481,000, that we could use about $10,000 of the $40,000 MSD revenue every year to service a debt on that $481,000. Now, John did some calculating on the annual payments of $481,277. We'd likely be able to get a bank loan for that at 5.5% interest for 20 years. That would bring the annual payment to $39,972. Applying the $10,000 from the MSD money every year would buy that loan payment down to $29,972. Now, John calculates, our finance director, John O'Keefe, calculates that our general fund can support a debt of that size on an ongoing basis, but it's a little more than we'd probably be comfortable with at this time. And then he came up with the following chart shows the various loan amounts and loan payments with the various levels of buy down from the general fund balance. We can reduce that obligation by applying general fund balance to the project cost up front. And if we do that, we're looking at recommending about $75,000 of general fund money. That would bring the loan amount down to $406,000, which would make an annual payment of $23,000. Now, at the last meeting we talked about, it was mentioned by Councilmember Burns that we might ought to apply more fund balance, MSD fund balance, which then would reduce the amount of the general fund and maybe buy those numbers down some more. But If the rural transformation grant is accepted, the town will need to execute the attached grant agreement with the Department of Commerce, and then we'll have to go through a qualification-based selection process for an engineering firm to design, come up with specifications, and let bid on this project and actually build it, oversee its construction. So the ultimate project cost may be different than the 1.186 that we're looking at today. That was just a cost estimate based on Withers Rathenall, our consultant, who came up with the cost estimate. So the manager's recommendation on this is to accept the $675,000 rural transformation grant, fund the town's $524,000 of the $1,186,000 project, with $43,700 from MSD fund balance, contribute $75,000 from the general fund balance, take a bank loan for $406,000, and apply $10,000 annually from the MSD revenues toward that debt service, and then the general fund would have a $23,533 annual debt service.
So council, what are your thoughts?
A question first, Mayor. Randy, are you aware of how they came up with the $43,700 as an amount from the MSD fund balance?
Well, they asked the question, if you take the MSD district, what portion does Barnes Street contribute or make up of that?
Okay.
So you got downtown, which is basically Barnes Street to Alston on Washington. Then you got, I'm sorry, to Body Street. Then you got Barnes Street, which is Washington to Cross or Western Avenue. Then you got Lower Washington Street, which takes, everything down to 64. And then you got Evans Drive and West Nashville Drive. So breaking it up into four and taking that fund balance is kind of how they got the $43,700. Saying that we will recommend to the council to spend about a fourth of the fund balance to cover a fourth of the district that makes up the MSD. Now,
This was an MSD project from the beginning, right?
the streetscape project,
Yes.
I don't think exclusively it was. I mean, it's beyond the capability of the MSD unless we sit on this money for another 20 years. We're never going to amass enough to do this project strictly with MSD money.
I was under the impression that this was an MSD project from the beginning. And when MSD was created, that was an entity unto itself. Their projects were their projects using the tax from the MSD district. But it seems like it's morphed into, all of a sudden, the general fund is being brought into it.
Yeah, and then, it's because the size of the project and, with the MSD only bringing in $40,000 a year, you have to squirrel it away for a long time before you have enough to do a project of this size and scope.
I have a concern about, this is the only thing we've seen about the Barnes Street revitalization, and the fact that the utilities are all going to the western side of the street. I have a concern about that. Originally, we wanted to have all the utilities underground, and of course, that is very costly. We can't
Very,
afford that.
very
But
costly.
I'm concerned about the people on the western side of the street, how they're gonna feel about all the utilities over there. And how are you really gonna work trees in with all those utilities?
Well, most of the plantings, under that plan would be on the east side of Barnes Street. And on the west side, you go with smaller plantings such as crepe myrtles and maybe lilacs, other more shrub type.
But this is all that we've seen, and I feel like the people on Barnes Street, should have more input. I mean, they need to see what is coming, because if you ride up and down Barnes Street, there are a lot of places that have, I'm not sure how much land they have to give up.
With us having been awarded this grant, if we refuse the grant at this point, Randy, what does that do to our chances of applying and receiving another grant in the future?
Probably not much impact on rural transformation because I think it was only a 2-round grant with ARPA money that, unless they continued again, and I haven't heard any plans that the Department of Commerce is planning on a 3rd or 4th or this program to go on. I know there's a lot of desire that it do that. That would be the only implication. If the rural transformation grant program continues, we've turned one down, I'm sure that would be taken into consideration upon another request for the same grant fund for a different project, or the same project at a later date.
Are we obligated to do the 1.18, or can it be downsized?
Well, we asked that question. They made the $675,000 award based upon the scope of project we had in the application.
So if we downsize the project, then the grant may be adjusted
I'm
accordingly.
sure it would
It
be.
will be,
Yes,
Or they may just simply say, no, that's not the project we awarded.
right.
right.
Well,
So-
personally, I think the entire project is way overpriced. Well, not overpriced, but just a lot for us to be taking on at this time. Because if you look at Barnes Street, you've got vacant lots, then you've got the attorney's office. You don't have a whole lot. You got Strickland's equipment, you got a little barber shop, then you got the town office. You don't have a whole lot of businesses on Barnes Street that would really,
It's not as much for the business as it is making our town more attractive,
I understand that. We'd love for it to be more attractive, but,
and businesses will come.
Well, and plus we are and have been investing an amount of money down further on Barnes Street with the new junction that we feel sure is going to bring more traffic from that entryway into town. And that was part of the thinking, I think,
Right,
Yeah.
it was.
that the
It was.
MSD took.
and I was on board with it, and, but now we're getting to the point right here now where are we gonna get the money from?
Over 20 years, it comes to, with the 75,000 investment from the general fund, it comes to $545,660. Town's part.
That's a lot of money.
Well, personally, I do understand that it's in the MSD district, but it's also the town as a whole's responsibility as it relates to our downtown area. And all the things that we do hopefully will help enhance anything as far as business in and out of Nashville. So I can see the benefit of the project from that standpoint.
I feel that we need more input from the stakeholders on Barnes Street, on both sides, especially those on the western side, who will see all of the utilities moved to their side.
Are we under a timeline to get this thing passed, or can we push it down? Because I would like to wait for voting on it until all the council members are here. And Kate's not here tonight, so.
Yeah, one more council meeting I don't think is going to make a difference. I did get contacted by Liz Permar with the Department of Commerce wanting, she said, I sent via DocuSign the agreement to the mayor and I haven't heard anything back yet. So I let her know that it was going to be discussed again here this evening. But, if you want us to schedule a public hearing with the property owners, all the property owners along there, and have a meeting with them to get their feeling on it, we can try and do that before the March 7th council meeting.
I think that's a good
It
idea.
doesn't give us a whole lot of time. We will only have one regular council meeting scheduled for March because, our second meeting, we're going to have our budget retreat.
Do we have enough time to advertise a public hearing?
I don't know if we necessarily have to have a full-scale
Okay.
public hearing, but a stakeholders meeting.
Okay, stakeholders.
And
Okay.
we can send letters and emails directly to those property owners, advising when we would hold such a meeting. And
Okay.
we can see about getting Withers Ravenel back, again, to give a description of the scope of the project and what it will likely look like.
I would suggest at this time that we push this out a little bit and try to set that meeting up. And it would also, hopefully we can get all council members on board here.
So do I hear a motion to table this until our
I
next meeting?
offer a motion to table this to a later date and schedule, not necessarily a public hearing, but a meeting with the stakeholders.
And more of than this, so we can see what is actually gonna happen.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
The next item on our agenda is the Nashville Business Center grubbing and clearing. Randy?
So Mayor and Council, back in December 2022, with the assistance of Stocks Engineering, the town let a bid on the grubbing and clearing the tree stumps and leftover logging debris on the town's 12 acres in the Nashville Business Center on Industry Court. And the project specifications at that time also included some limited earthwork. At that time, we were already beginning discussions with Nash County about a joint shell building on one of those two lots. Willett Farms LLC from Red Oak was the low bidder. At the December 6th council meeting, the council awarded a contract contingent upon advice of our attorney that, that be contingent until the Willett Farms became a licensed contractor with the state of North Carolina. They have not done that yet, and they have not given our engineer a time frame for when they're going to accomplish that. So of the 5 bidders, Bridgeview Contractors from Rocky Mount, they had a bid which was higher than Willett Farms, but they broke theirs out. Their bid is $162,500 for the grubbing and clearing work, which is below the $188,000 Golden Leaf grant that we received for this project. They have their contractor's license. Bridgeview's bid for the additional earthwork was $277,000, and there was a quantity in there, and that quantity of earthwork escapes me right now, but Kevin Varnell with Stocks Engineering is recommending the council award a contract to Bridgeview just for the grubbing and clearing. Bridgeview says it can be here by April 15th, and the site work will be completed by May 15th, weather permitting. We have until June 30th of 2023 to expend the Golden Leaf Foundation grant for this project, and that puts us within time frame of that. Accepting this contract just for the grubbing and clearing will leave a little money on the table, as they say, between the grant and this contract amount with Bridgeview, but in talking with Kevin, it's almost going to be more expensive to have them mobilize and do the grant work or the earth moving work, only to have to essentially redo it when the site grading is done for the shell building at some point in the future. So the recommendation on this one is to award a contract to Bridgeview Contractors for the grubbing and clearing at their $162,500 bid price.
What is your,
I have a question.
yes?
Of the 5 companies that made bids, was Bridgeview the only one that was licensed?
He was.
Did we know that when we, accepted those bids, or when,
When we asked for the bids, it was a question I posed to our engineer, and Kevin said, I typically don't look at that until after the bids come in. So in the future, when we let projects that are in this amount or larger, we're certainly going to have in the specifications that you have to be a licensed contractor to be awarded a contract for this project. Now, we did have an experience the year before with Williams Paving. At the time, they gave the low bid for our asphalt street paving. They were not licensed, and the council made the award contingent upon them obtaining that. They got their contractor's license within 3 weeks after we awarded accepted their bid. So I'm not sure what's happening here with Willett Farms, but.
So what is your desire, council?
I move to approve the resolution.
I second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. It carries. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is Joe and Fay Hyde's access easement request on well number 2.
Sure. Mayor and Council, this one was already introduced by Anna Joyner, but Joe and Fay Hyde have submitted a request to the town for an easement on the town's property, which is well number 2. They own a single-family house at 207 Lucille Street, and they've resided there for the last 30 years. Their driveway is completely on the town's abutting 50-foot wide lot for well number 2, and there are no known or recorded easements on the town's property for their use that anybody can find. Joe and Fay are requesting the town grant them an access easement across the town's property to access their property. The town has never had any problem or issue with Hyde's using the town's property to access theirs, but now that this is known, it is concerning. The North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality requires for a new municipal well that the municipality own and control a 100-foot radius around the well house, or you can't get permitting for it. Now, this rule obviously came after 1936 when well number 2 was drilled, but NCDEQ is still stressing that the town needs to maintain and restrict uses as much as it can around that well. The town's liability insurance is not overly concerned about anybody bringing claim of negligence against the town for the use if a grant or if an easement is granted, but they are more concerned about the fact that somebody using that property could park a vehicle on it via the easement. That vehicle may contain chemicals. The example they gave was somebody who works for an exterminating company. They park their company vehicle there, and a vat or tank of whatever they use ruptures, and it spills on the ground right on top of the well. That was their big concern. And I noted here, interestingly enough, that the Morgans who live at 211 Lucille, they also use the south portion of well number 2 to access their property from Cross Street. So going forward, depending upon what the council's intent are here, we may need to look at putting a fence or some borders to designate where the boundaries of well number 2 are.
May I ask you this question? Suppose we decide to replenish and get number 2 going up. What if we grant that easement and then they come and say, no, you can't because you don't have the required 100? I mean, how would that affect the town's water is what I'm asking.
Well, it would probably be a well then we wouldn't choose to rehab. You know, if we can't get permitting from NCDEQ to
Right.
reuse the well or make the well usable, we wouldn't spend the
So
money
if we
doing it.
grant them that easement, we may not be able to use the well. Is that what you're saying?
May not, yes. Lee,
Well,
may I call to the podium Lee Brown, our
Yeah.
Public Works? Lee, you had the conversation via email, but with NCDEQ.
So, everything Randy said is correct. Well number 2 is out of service for maintenance. DEQ is aware that it's an old site and was put in place before the 100-foot radius, call it, I can't remember what the word is. We have a responsibility to own and maintain a 100-foot radius around the well. Excuse me. And they are aware that that 100-foot radius does not exist. However, if the well is to be rehabbed, that 100-foot radius, because it's an existing well, that 100-foot radius requirement will not apply to well number 2.
Okay, what will apply? Will 50 feet still be
The lot as it exists, yes.
as lot as it exists?
And our public water supply rep did say that they strongly advise that we own and maintain as much as we can of that 100 feet requirement at well number 2. And she just straight out said that they would advise against the easement as well for, right, public health reasons.
Well, 100 foot around that well, we'd be up to the highest back door. And the mortgage as well. Be in the middle of the house, okay, yeah. It would be all the way up there, we did 100. As a matter of fact, 50 feet would come to the back door, to both residents on either side. But what?
We don't have,
But is there a solution that we can appease them with? What could we do? I mean, because if we put a fence around it, the fence is not gonna be no more than 4 or 5. Yeah, if you do 50 feet or 100 feet, but even if we put a fence around the well as it sits right now, without encroaching onto what their driveway is already, the fence wouldn't be about a 4 or 5 foot radius around the pumps, right?
Yeah, you would almost need to fence the boundaries of the property. You know, what NCDEQ is recommending or advising the town is, you know, you want to control the use of as much at that site as you can. Obviously, we can't achieve the 100 foot,
Right.
but we can achieve what the town owns by not allowing others to use it.
Does anybody know what was there first, the well to the house? What was there first?
That well was dug in the summer of 1936.
The well was there first.
the well.
The well was there first, okay.
Amir, you can invite the Hides to the podium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe, would you like to say anything? I don't know
Help us
I
out.
don't know what to say with
To
them
help us
requiring
out.
us to have that space, you know? But it's up to the council. What do you think? And I know it's been there forever
It's been there
because I lived close by, you know?
It's been there forever, and I would love to be able to grant them an easement, but I'm afraid if we do, then we lost the well.
Then that would affect more citizens.
It will affect
and
more
that-
citizens,
so
and
I
we
don't-
got to start all over again with a new well. I just don't know what,
I don't think we have.
I don't know if there's a remedy for it.
It's a town investment, and I don't think we have a choice. But we have to protect the well.
Yeah, you got to protect the well.
Can you put that in form of a motion?
Sadly, I knew that we denied the easement.
Do I hear a second?
I have to second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
All right.
Motion carries, and this is one we have to do, we don't want to do, and I hope you understand that. I
And
just
if you can come up
if
with
you come up
another-
with a
if you come
solution,
up
let
with a
us know.
solution or another remedy to it, please bring it back to us. But I don't know of another solution. It will be, I know, it will be. It's best to just leave it the way it is and continue using it the way it's always done for years. No, not
We want to buy the house.
Buy the house, we'll have 100 feet, wouldn't we?
Thank you so much. The next item on our agenda is the Shell Building site plan.
So, Mayor and Council, moving forward with the idea and the plan to partner with Nash County for construction of a 40,000 square foot shell building on the town's lot number 3 in the Nashville Business Park. The town's role for that shell building will be to contribute lot 3 for that project and also provide for a level area on the land to construct the building and its associated facilities, such as the driveway, the parking lot, the loading, unloading dock, etc. And Nash County's role then will be to construct the shell building and incur that cost and its associated facilities, and then to market that building aggressively for lease or sale to a target manufacturer. Providing a level area on that property will require a building and facility site plan prepared by the engineer, which establishes the location and the elevations of the building and loading and unloading docks and driveways, et cetera, for that shell building. And we've reached out to Stocks Engineering for a contract on preparing the site plan for lot number 3. And the town can use and/or give to Nash County then to put in with its bid specifications for its shell building. The thought is they can get the site work done for less money by including it with the construction and the building of the shell building than we could by having a separate contract just for providing a level site on the lot, and then the county having a contract for just the building. So, but we still need to come up with a site plan. Stocks Engineering has given us a price of $44,275 to do that site plan, and that would include a topographical survey, an elevation survey, and then, Stocks would lay out on the lot the area that we have to clear and level in order to get a 40,000 square foot shell building on there. Stocks Engineering is thinking we almost need to level about a 60,000 square foot area to accommodate the shell building, its parking lot, its driveway, its loading, unloading docks. So, I asked John, our finance director, where we can come up with the money, and as you know, our sales tax receipts have exceeded our expectations nicely and pleasantly, pretty much this whole fiscal year. And we have the $44,275 in additional sales tax revenues in the current fiscal year budget to get started on this, if the council chooses to do so.
Randy, of the 188,000 grant, we're spending 162,500 for the grubbing. There's about 26,000 left over. Can that be used toward the site plan?
Well, again, that we asked that question specifically of Kevin Varnell, and just because of the cost of moving in the earth moving equipment, it's going to chew up a good portion, he said, of that 26,000. And whatever dirt we move when we get finished, we're going to have to seed it all and leave the area. Then only for when the contract comes in to create the site, all that area is redisturbed all over again. And he said it just didn't seem like a good expenditure. Now, having pointed that out and said that, that's certainly something I would put in town's additional application to the Golden Leaf Foundation, is that, of the 188,000, we didn't expend 26 because, it didn't make sense at the time to expend that, only to have to re-expend a good portion of it. And hopefully they will give us credit for that, so to speak, on our next application. And, the Golden Leaf Foundation does like to see collaboration on economic development projects. So our partnering with Nash County on the shell building, again, I think makes our application much stronger than it would be just on our own. So those two things, I'm very hopeful that when the council decides, let's do another Golden Leaf application for the site work. And that site work right now, according to our Stocks Engineering cost estimate, if we let a contract alone just for it, about $299,000 just to get a site-ready pad for for Nash County to put its shell building on. That is eligible for a grant from the Golden Leaf Foundation, and we can pursue that. And this $44,275, we can use that as a local match for that future Golden Leaf grant application.
So do I
Well,
hear,
for the rest of the council that doesn't know, we met with the county today, and they are ready to go to add this into their perspective for doing three separate sites, because they can get a better price if they got three versus doing one at a time. And they are, they're at the point right now, 2 or 3 months leeway time is all we got to get on board with this. And since we've got this 44,000, I would like to make a motion that we go forward with it.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is the Rural Business Development Grant Application for Project Metal.
So Project Metal is a startup stamping and fabrication company that will be setting up manufacturing facilities in the second shell building in the Nashville, West Nashville Commerce Park. That's the building we partnered with, the town partnered with Prime One Builders to build. It's up now finally. It still needs a door and some cleanup. But anyway, Project Metal is looking at employing 5 to 7 employees with an average annual salary and wages of $56,400. The company's new manufacturing facilities will increase the town's property tax base by $1.6 million projected. Project Metal's startup costs are significant. They'll have annual sales too at about $980,000 initially, and you know, hopefully that will grow nicely as they continue to are in business. But they're seeking some help in acquiring machinery and equipment for their new fabrication and stamping operation. They're in need of a powder coat paint booth, which is $87,000, according to the company owner. The USD Rural Business Development has the Rural Business Development Grant Program, and that program funds various business enterprises in rural areas that result in the development or financing of small and emerging businesses. With this program, a municipality can apply for and receive grant funding to purchase needed equipment for an emerging business and lease that equipment to the company at reduced rates. The next round of rural business development grant applications is due February 28th, which is almost upon us. I propose town staff prepare an $87,000 grant application in support of this Project Metal in the West Nashville Commerce Park. And to begin that process, the council needs to authorize submission of the grant application on Project Metal's behalf.
Is there a match?
Yeah.
There is no match required with this,
There's no match.
no match.
That's good then.
If we don't get the grant, are we on the hook for the $87,000?
Nope,
No.
it just leaves the business owner to
Come up.
fund it himself, basically.
Did he address this 87,000 today? Because I missed that meeting. Did that come up in the meeting
He
today?
wasn't at the meeting.
Yeah, this
Oh, wait,
project
this
is,
is
different.
This is a different
it's
one. I'm
it's a
sorry.
different one, this is
Different one.
Project
Yeah.
Model.
I'm sorry. Okay.
He's on board with us applying for this on his company's behalf.
Right.
Yeah, I guess so. I would be too. It's the first time I've seen or heard of we giving them the building and also buying the equipment to go in it.
Some of
That's
the
new.
equipment.
Didn't we do a sewer hookup out there also?
Yeah, we did that.
Excuse me?
Hook
We
the sewer
extended
line
the
up.
sewer.
Yeah, the council agreed to split that cost with Prime One Builders. You know, it was right at 20,000, and council said we'd do up to 10. That's all in. The only part of that project that isn't complete, the fire hydrant needs an extension put on it to elevate it. And I guess the hydrant extension finally came in. When Brian Colbert with BCS Contracting is coming back, then the final $1,900 for that hydrant extension. We've already received a request from Prime One Builders for 18-something. It was less the hydrant extension, so I was just simply waiting to give that invoice to our finance director until the hydrant extension gets put on.
So we have nothing to lose with this, really.
I move that we apply for the grant.
Second.
All those in
Second.
favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is the continued education for the employees, MOU for employees continuing education, okay? Chief Winstead,
Hi, y'all, this evening.
good
Oh,
evening.
Chief.
Y'all have the MOUs in y'all's packet to break down what they talk about.
Right,
So a little bit about it is the Nash County Sheriff's Office, along with Emergency Management, is partnering with Wesleyan College to able to afford educational for the employees at a reduced rate. My father sits on the board at Wesleyan, so I kind of asked him and the president if town of Nashville could jump on coattails of that. The president of Wesleyan was more than happy and gracious to do that, to the point now that once we approve this one, he's ready to bring the fire department on in stage 2, and then to offer all town employees, everybody in stage 3 that would be able to do this. So it not only benefits all our employees to further their education, but it will also financially benefit their family members that can also go. So
Very good.
I think this is a no-brainer.
I do
I
too.
think
Do I
we-
hear a motion?
I move that we go ahead and move forward with this.
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye.
I have a
Okay.
question, JT.
Yes, ma'am.
What's the cost of a certificate program?
don't get me the line, Ms. Hinton. I can find out.
Well, I noticed that there was $250 that would be applied to that.
Yes, ma'am.
And for undergraduate, graduate tuition, it'd be $2,000, for graduate, $1,000.
Yes, ma'am, and since they just recently turned into a university, whatever that status means, they were able to do this at a better rate, so.
That's good. That's great.
I appreciate you
Thank
jumping
you.
on,
Thank
jumping on
you.
board,
Thank
jumping on
you.
board to get it, Chief.
The next item on our agenda is Matthew Joyner, our HR Director, with personnel policy changes.
Good evening, Mayor, Council.
Good evening.
I have 2 personnel policy changes this time. The first one is a conflict of interest policy, just to set the standards of conduct for personnel involved in business transactions. It's actually a requirement for grants. So I got a copy of Nash County's and used it as a template and made a few changes. The next item was the dress code and personal hygiene policy. Same thing, I got a copy from Nash County to use as a template. And we just wanted to set a standard for our employees and our departments to build off of in setting expectations for dress and hygiene.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion to approve these updates and revisions?
Mayor, before you ask for that, our attorney has something they'd like to add regarding the
Attorney, add
solicitation.
something.
Just a minor addition or supplement, if you would. We would just suggest adding at the end of the conflict of interest policy of the town, a statement to the effect that this is intended to supplement state law. There are 2 that we can think of right now, state statutes, that define conflicts of interest on the part of municipal employees and officers. And I think it might be appropriate, just to avoid any kind of confusion, just to include a statement that in the event of inconsistency or conflict between the town's policy and the state law, the town's policy is intended to supplement the state law, and the higher standard of conduct shall apply.
Thank you.
Words to that effect.
So with the suggestion from our attorney, those additions, do I hear a motion to approve this?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much. The next item on our agenda is the speed hump or bump request. Did I see somebody I know here? Come forward,
he's here,
please.
yeah.
Introduce yourselves and your position.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Quentin Mangano, Principal at Nashville Elementary. I talked to Randy a few months ago about what it looks like to get speed bumps put in to slow down traffic in front of the school. And so he talked about the petition and just having the residents on the street be in agreement with us. What we're trying to do is just reduce, when a car goes by that school at 25 miles an hour, if you're standing there, it looks like it's going 50, and we have a lot of traffic, a lot of kids, and there are some really high points during the day where we have a whole bunch of traffic at the same time, kind of trying to get in and get out. So we feel like speed bumps will definitely slow down those people within the zone where their kids are coming across with parents. We don't have a lot of loading and unloading right there in front of the school. When we do it, at the end of the day, it's a structured process where their traffic really doesn't come into play other than from our staff, directing them. But in the mornings and throughout the day and in the afternoons, after our traffic is done, there's a lot of pickups and drop-offs that happen with just either people coming late or leaving early or that kind of time. And those are the times when kids are walking across the street. Normally they're with their parent, but it's a time when if we could slow down cars on that street, we would reduce the likelihood of any kind of a accident that we do not want to happen. So we got 11 out of 14 of the residents to sign a petition, which I can give. I think Randy has it, or you have a copy of it.
Yeah, we do.
Which meets the 75%. It's 78%, and the ones took us a little while to get everybody to catch everybody at the house at the right time. So, but we met that. So we're just asking if the town could do that to help increase our safety at the school.
The two that didn't sign, did they just refuse to sign, or you just didn't get up with them?
To my knowledge, nobody refused to sign. We just didn't get up with everybody. I did not go door to door.
Right.
We had one of our parent-teacher board members did most of the work, and then our front office person went out and caught the last couple that she could get.
Everybody does understand that we put these speed bumps up. The first time they go through there flying and they tears the muffler out, the town's not responsible.
Well, there's speed bumps and then there's speed bumps. They're
There's
all
speed bumps
different.
and then there's speed bumps
Some years ago, we put some speed bumps out at Birchwood.
in Birchwood.
And the residents out there, were furious about it. And it was to slow the speeding. So we have to think long and hard about
Yeah.
putting speed bumps up and at what level and at what cost.
You don't
Having
have
speed bumps
any
in-
idea how you want them, do you?
I personally don't like speed bumps, but
See?
I mean, going over them. But it's a school zone, so you would think people would be more aware.
Slow
But
already.
there's still, we have 700 kids at that school, so there's ins and outs. In a perfect world, we'd have all of our arrivals and dismissals at different corners of the building, so we don't have any mass concentrations. But that front street is the one spot where there's a little lot where people back out of a space if they pull in.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like 2 would do it for our street, as far as like in front of the school area to slow them down through that drop-off area.
So
or
you're just
zone.
asking for 2 speed bumps?
That's all I'm asking for.
Chief, how you feel
Three
about these
would
speed
be-
bumps?
Fine, too.
Can we build them tomorrow?
So,
So you're in favor of it?
a little information for you, there's a speed bump. Speed bumps are for residential areas and they're between 1 to 3 foot. And then a speed hump is 10 to 12 feet wide. And it's for residential areas with the speed limit is 25 and under. So the speed bump is for 10 to 15 miles per hour. And it's only 1 to 3 foot wide. And then the speed hump is 10 to 12 feet wide.
So you want the hump.
So I don't know how much that would cost, and then you also have a speed table, and the speed table is what's in Birchwood. It's a little bit wider thing, and it's for areas with the speed limit between 25 and 35.
Well,
I think the state mandates certain ones for the speed, so I guess we could reach out to DOT for that and try to get some more information, and then bring it back with that and maybe a cost with somebody on DOT side. Or is that something that our public works could do if we so move forward on?
I would think Public Works could do that, don't you think, Randy?
Well, my understanding is the ones on Birchwood and on Lynn-
Golfers.
Golfers. Golfers Lane.
Golfers Lane, the town crew did do those.
Right.
And I believe they're the speed hump, because they're made with a 8-inch tall cement block and then ramped asphalt about 8 to 10 feet either way.
They do slow you
Now,
down.
Lee had reached out to Weaver's Asphalt and Williams Paving after we got the request. We got 2 different prices. John Rich with Weaver's Asphalt said he could do speed humps and they'd be 3.5 inches high and approximately 36 inches from, toe to toe, up and over. That street is one of the widest ones we have in town. It's a 35-foot wide street. It's far wider than Birchwood or Golfers Lane. The other price, and again, we didn't ask for bids, we just asked for informal pricing, was from Williams Paving, and theirs was $3,500 per speed hump. There's quite a difference, and we would almost have to spec out which one we want and then ask for, an informal price in writing from either of those companies. But I agree with the chief, we could ask for direction from the DOT on. Now, Virginia Avenue is not a DOT street, it's a city.
City street.
It's a town street.
Well, I think our guys could put them up once we decide what we want. I'm not against them because, we'd all hate it if a kid got hit or somebody speeding through there. And, I say we'll go ahead and, along with our maintenance department and the police chief, go forward with approving this and get it done as quick as we can.
Do I hear a second?
I'd like some more information before we make a decision. I'd like to see some figures and, something definite from Public Works.
Well, if Public Works does it, we can worry about the figures.
Yeah. So,
I know when Lee and I talked about it, because of the width of the street and how much tonnage of asphalt would need to be brought in for a speed hump, which is much greater than a speed bump. We don't, we have that hot box now to bring in asphalt, but we can only bring in maybe 1.5 tons at a time, and we're probably talking 8 ton on either side. So
Sure.
it's beyond, I think, the scope of, because of the width of the street, our public works to do in-house.
8 tons?
So can you check on that and give us some more information? so that we have
Absolutely, yeah.
Something to work with.
Let's get some more information. before
And
next
I
week.
think we would probably go with the speed hump versus the bump. The
Yeah.
hump is greater, but, it's got a much
yeah.
wider, it's spread out over a wider
Longer.
area. They do the same thing.
I withdrew my motion.
Okay, do I hear a motion that we table this until we receive more information? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much for coming tonight. Our next item on our agenda is employee recruitment video.
Hello again.
Hello.
Sean's gonna come up. We've been working on a recruitment video, this day and time is hard recruiting and retaining employees, and we wanted to give a little insight into what our employees do each and every day and try to entice some people to come in. Sean's got a lot of patience because I've kind of been picky with the video and he's made a lot of changes. But once he previews the video, if you've got any feedback or any changes before we move forward with it, we're open to suggestions.
Thank you.
Council, just keep in mind, we didn't pay any actors for this. Is there a deal? Yeah, yeah. The surround sound isn't plugged in. Penny. It might just come on your computer. Let the audio on. Plug it back in, I guess.
All right.
Town of Nashville, how can I help you?
Need the back at Evans Drive behind Burger King, North Carolina 28.
10-4.
I'm Matt Joyner, Human Resources Director for the town of Nashville. If you're looking for an exciting career, look no further. We offer opportunities in police, fire, planning and code enforcement, public works, parks and recreation, library, accounting and finance, human resources, and town administration. For a complete listing of our current opportunities, go online to townofnashville.com, click Employment Opportunities, and submit an application today. We offer a competitive salary and benefits package, as well as opportunities for advancement. Come see what it's like to be a part of the original Nashville team.
Good job.
Feedback for, sorry about the volume issues.
I think it's a good job. Get us on line.
Was there a narrative along with the other stuff that we just didn't hear?
Is music playing during the, first of all, good afternoon, everybody. How everybody doing? It's music playing behind it. Just we had some technical difficulties with our sound equipment over here. But throughout the whole build up, the music builds up. Then when the fire department, we took the music out because we wanted the people to really see, you know, with firefighters, when their tone goes off, the guys and ladies are going straight to the truck to go out to the call. Then, of course, Matt wraps it up with, you know, prayer telling everybody how to find jobs for the town of Nashville.
There was a suggestion maybe to have Matt first and then show what our jobs are. Just put him on the front end so people know when they
That
click
might
on
be a good
that.
idea.
I think
Good
so.
suggestion.
And I say, come see what it's like.
Right, right.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. I think that would-
That's just a cut and paste thing, is it, Sean?
I will not lie, it probably will be difficult now at this phase of it. I can try it, but right now the time is perfect. I mean, it's something that I can try this weekend to work on to see if we can just try to shuffle it around.
Thank you, but I think it's a good idea, though.
Yeah.
I really
Like
do.
it.
Town manager, do you have anything else to say tonight?
No, Mayor and Council, I'm good, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Just a reminder, you know, only one meeting in March, the first, the 7th, our second meeting then will be a day meeting for our budget work session or retreat with the council. And, you know, we'll do a similar process we did last year where we'll have the department heads come in, report to the council on the accomplishments of the current fiscal year, and give you a forecast of what they see for needs for their various departments for FY '24. And then, you know, we'll have our finance director giving the projection of revenues that we'll likely and reasonably to have to work with. And then we'll all begin in earnest on working on the budget based upon, you know, we'll look at those, the goals and the objectives that we looked at last year, which were the ones in our comprehensive plan.
Right.
And just have a review of those also. And you can confirm and reaffirm those are still the same things you want to work toward. Likely as you know, the composition of the council is all the same as it was last year and the year before, so.
I got the 7th and the 21st are the 2 dates in March, is that
The
right?
21st, yes.
I'm good.
Excuse me.
Randy, I have a question about, on January the 17th, we tabled the ordinance for parking on the street, large vehicles, commercial vehicles, trailers. Has anybody done anything about that too? We need to
Well,
get
we're
that on
still
the
working
books.
on that. Lou thought she had to go to clerk school last week, so I kind of lost a week. We'll have that on our next meeting agenda.
Okay, that's very important. Also, I have a question. Can you give us an update on the junction, how that's coming along?
So we, myself and Coy, met with Kevin Varnell, with Stocks Engineering, and he's putting the finishing touches on the design and specifications for the parking lot and stage. One of the stage options he's recommending or asking us, I guess behind the red and white store, is that in Dorches? Smith's Red? There's a wedding venue there that has a nice stage, amphitheater, whatever you want to call it. And that one isn't real terribly expensive. So he suggests we all go take a look at that and see what we think of that. So, you know, by hopefully April, we'll have the final plans to review with the council on the layout of that parking lot. He did point out to us a couple of the trees that we had scheduled to save. They're volunteered trees, so they were never really planted in the ground. They grew upon the ground. And if we're going to be coring out, you know, upwards to a foot of material around and putting the curb and gutter around it, we're going to get well into the roots. And then they're being mature trees, they may not weather well with that kind of disturbance around. One of them's one of those sweet gumball trees too, that's got the little prickly, I don't think we want those anywhere where we're gonna have people spreading blankets out to enjoy an afternoon of music. So those two particular trees, it didn't make, one appears to be as the top is out of it already and dying, and the other one is that sweet gumball tree. So, made an executive decision on the site this afternoon that we would take those two out and they'd just simply be replaced with 4 additional parking spaces right there. So.
What about the building itself? How's
The-
that?
Yeah, the building itself, Michael Hurt has most of the suites inside petitioned off as far as framing. I believe they're starting to add drywall. I noticed last week or the week before, all the piping for the sprinkler system was delivered on site, and they're in the process of installing that now. The entrances for each one of the suites are there. On the north end of the building where there's going to be more of a patio area, that's partially constructed. They don't have the concrete pad poured on top of that yet. So it's coming along. It's not nearly as quickly as we had in the development agreement, but then neither is the town's end of that development agreement either. But he's certainly working toward it, and I don't have a projection of when he hopes to have the first business in there. I can find that out, or probably better yet, we could just have him come to the March 7th meeting and give the council an update on it.
Thank you. Any other question? Yes.
Yeah, I didn't make a vote on the recruitment video or to table. I mean, it's listed on the agenda as a vote.
So do I hear a motion that we approve the employment recruitment video?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any council members, do you have anything you would like to say? If not, do I hear a motion that we adjourn?
So made.
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
The meeting is adjourned.